Pope Francis has died. He was the 266th Pope of the Catholic Church, and now a very strict and centuries-old process is going to start to elect the new Pope.
In this video, we're going to walk you exactly through how this works. But before, let's take a step back to understand something very important. Who is the Pope?
The Pope wears many hats. He is the head of the Catholic Church, the largest Christian organization in the world with over 1 billion members, and its roots can be traced to over 2,000 years, the time of Jesus and his apostles. Peter was one of the apostles that was selected to be the first Pope, and Pope Francis is number 266.
The Pope is also the Bishop of Rome, a priest who has the responsibility to oversee and guide the Catholics in a specific area. But here is something that you may not know. The seat of the Bishop of Rome actually isn't the Basilica of St. Peter's. It's another basilica called San Giovanni in Laterano, St. John in Lateran. And why is this? Well, because the Basilica of St. Peter's is in another country, a country called Vatican City.
The Vatican City is the smallest independent country in the world. Imagine it is the size of a large park, and it is located right in the heart of Rome. It became a country in 1929, so not that long ago, when the Catholic Church and the Italian government made an agreement. And in the Vatican City is where the Pope lives and works. The Pope is the head of the Vatican City. Now, to put it into perspective, the Vatican City is where the Basilica of St. Peter's is where the Sistine Chapel is, it's where the Vatican museums are. They're all in there. And something really, really cool is that Rome is the only capital city in the world to have within its city limits another country.
So as you see, the death of a pope isn't just a spiritual event, it's something much bigger. Now, how will Pope number 267 be elected? We'll take you step by step to this fascinating centuries-old ritual.
When a pope dies, or when they freely resign, like Pope Benedict XVI did in 2013, the Catholic Church enters a moment known as Sedakante, which literally means the seat is vacant. And this moment lasts until the new pope is elected. During this time, all day-to-day affairs are managed by a key figure called Cardinal Camerlengo. He's practically the administrator of the pope, who oversees everything that is happening inside the Vatican until a new pope is elected.
And here we meet a very important figure of the Catholic Church, a cardinal. A cardinal is a bishop that has been appointed by the Pope to be one of his closest advisors and collaborators. And this is something very important. They are the only ones with a right to vote during the election of the Pope. If you look at the hierarchy of the church, it goes like this. At the very top, you have the Pope. Right below the Pope, you've got the Cardinals, who are his senior advisors, and they are easily recognized for their red clothing. Then come the archbishops and the bishops, who wear purple, and they oversee a specific number of churches in a region. And then finally, at a local level, you have the priests, who oversee individual churches and communities.
When the sede vacante begins, all the cardinals under the age of 80 travel to Rome to elect the new pope. They join together in this very secret and ancient tradition called the Conclave, where they will then elect the new pope. The conclave usually begins 15-20 days after the death of the Pope, and this is to allow the cardinals from all over the world to come here and for the Vatican to prepare everything that is necessary for this moment. Now, here's something really, really important that you might not be aware of, but among all the cardinals that will enter to take part to the conclave, one will be elected as the new leader of the Catholic Church. And so you see why the age limit makes perfect sense, because, you know, being a pope is quite a challenging job, and so you want to make sure that whoever gets chosen is actually fit for the job.
The word conclave, conclave, comes from the Latin cum clave, which literally means locked with a key, because that is exactly what happens to the cardinals when they begin the voting. they are completely isolated from the outside world until a new pope is elected. No phones, no internet, no newspaper, nothing. Absolute secrecy to guarantee confidentiality, prevent outside pressure, and ensure that the decision is made freely and thoughtfully.
Where exactly are the cardinals locked in? Well, the conclave takes place in the Sistine Chapel. I mean, can you imagine one of the most spectacular places in the world? The cardinals are locked in here until they elect the new pope under magnificent frescoes from Michelangelo, including the Last Judgment, where the hand of God, where the finger of God and the finger of Adam nearly touch. During the election period, the cardinals live inside the Vatican City. They have a special residence that is a very short walking distance from the Sistine Chapel, where they are kept in total isolation until the election of the Pope. And here they sleep, they pray, and they eat.
The conclave begins with a special mass at the Basilica of St. Peter's. The cardinals then walk in a solemn procession into the Sistine Chapel, and the first day is mainly dedicated to prayer. Once they access the Sistine Chapel, and before doing anything else, the cardinals make a solemn oath in Latin, which is the official language of the Catholic Church and the Vatican. Basically, they promise to follow all the rules of the conclave. They promise to never say anything that happens inside and during the conclave, and they promise to faithfully carry out the role of the Pope. After the oath, the Master of Ceremonies stands in front of the door and shouts in Latin, "Extra omnes," which means everybody out.
Extra omnes.
So everybody who is not a cardinal has to leave the Sistine Chapel. The doors close, a seal is placed, and the conclave officially begins.
The election happens by secret ballot. Each cardinal writes the name of his choice on a piece of paper, then folds the ballot and puts it in an urn. Then all these votes are counted, and to be elected pope, the cardinal has to have a majority of 2/3 of the votes. Obviously, it has never happened that it is done immediately. It usually takes a couple of days.
Because secrecy is so important, everything that is written during the conclave, the secret ballots, any kind of written notes, is then burnt inside a special stove that is set up in the Sistine Chapel. Now, here is something very unique about the conclave. Basically, only during the conclave, on the roof of the Sistine Chapel, a chimney is placed which is connected directly to the stove in the Sistine Chapel. So every time the ballots and the written notes are burnt, the outside world sees the signal of smoke.
And this is probably the most exciting moment of the entire conclave. The eyes of the world looking at that chimney to see what color the smoke is going to come out. Twice a day at noon at around 7 p.m., there is a smoke signal to announce to the world what's happening. And if the smoke is black, it means that the cardinals have not found an agreement. If it's white, then the world knows that there is a new pope. And I get goosebumps because I personally recall when Pope Francis was elected in 2013. And everybody's there. Thousands of people are in Piazza San Pietro. I was watching it from television. And so everybody is waiting for this incredible and very, very, very emotional moment.
When a cardinal receives enough votes, the Dean of the Cardinals approaches him and asks two very important questions. The first is, do you accept the election? And the second is, what name do you choose? Now, why a different name? Because the name will reflect the kind of papacy that he hopes to have. So for instance, Pope Francis was inspired by the Saint Francis of Assisi, who is known and recognized for being extremely humble and very dedicated to the poor.
Nomen imposuit Franciscum.
If the appointed cardinal accepts, he becomes pope immediately. He is then taken to a small room known as the Room of Tears that is right by the Sistine Chapel, and it has this name because it is said that The new elected popes have cried many tears with the huge responsibility and the overwhelming of the moment. He is dressed in white, in the classic white papal garments, and this is the moment where the conclave officially ends.
Now comes the moment that the entire world has been waiting for. The new pope will soon appear in the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. The first to step out on the balcony is a senior cardinal, and he pronounces in Latin very famous words. He says,
Annuncio vobis
Gaudium Magnum,
Habemus Papam.
which literally translates to, I announce to you a great joy. We have a pope. And just imagine what happens. Then he says the birth name of the pope and the chosen name for his papacy.
Finally, the Pope steps out on the balcony and is greeted by applause and huge celebrations from everybody that has been waiting for this moment from the piazza, and also by the millions of people watching on television. He gives his first blessing, known as Urbi et Orbi, which means to the city and to the world.
This is how the leader of the Catholic Church has been elected for over 700 years. Now, I want to encourage you to be curious, to be open-minded, and to follow the conclave as it unfolds.
Regardless of your faith or background, being able to see the birth of a new pope is an opportunity that you should give yourself. I mean, you are watching a piece of history being made. So my suggestion, let's keep an eye on that chimney to see when the white smoke will come out.